All right, well, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to the monthly meeting of the Keystone Planning and Zoning Commission. Thanks for being here. It's June 18th and we're exactly at 5:30. Could we please have the roll called?
Commissioner Steve Jacobson.
Here.
Commissioner Peter Madland.
Here.
Commissioner Kathy Rogg.
Here.
Commissioner Wendy Tim. Commissioner David Koch.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Weeding.
I think she
Did I pronounce that right?
Oh, I don't know. Here.
Hiding.
hiding, yes.
Commissioner Melanie Whitehouse.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Kaylee Warren. Here. Alternate Commissioner Diane Leetsley.
Here.
There are 8 members present.
Super, thank you. So we have a quorum. I don't think we even needed a quorum, but we have one for the record. Okay. So as always, our first order of business is approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from our last month's meeting, as well as the topic for today, which is this is a working session review about, is it Sown? Is that how you pronounce it? Sown PUD and 57 Razor Drive. Is there any additions or comments on the agenda? If not, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. And we can move on to our item of business today, which, as I said, is this. It's a working session, much as we had a work session last month about a potential application to modify the Sown PUD at 57 Razor Drive. No action will be taken tonight. This is a non-binding review. It's not a public hearing, but we have at our discretion to hear public comments if we decide at the end. So I think to just begin, I'll ask Jessica to give us a summary of the staff report.
So you've set the stage well. This is a work session, which is a non-binding review. No action or decision will be made. And this proposed development being presented during the work session is in an early stage of planning where it would be helpful for the applicant to hear questions from the commission and understand what elements of this proposed development need to be considered further before a formal application is submitted. So the materials that are presented tonight do not yet address all of the items that would be required for a full application. This is a preliminary step that can help them to prepare to submit a full application if they choose. The commission can ask questions, seek clarification, and provide preliminary feedback, but should not evaluate this proposal as if it is a formal application. Tonight, Brandon Kellogg is here to present a potential new development located at 57 Razor Drive, zoned Sown PUD. And this presentation is both about the proposed new development and also the PUD amendment that would be necessary to allow this type of development. The proposal seeks to amend the PUD to change the permitted uses, reduce the parking requirements, and increase the allowed square footage on Tract A of the Sown PUD. And because this is just a work session and there isn't a full application yet, staff has not evaluated the proposal under all of the applicable criteria, so we do not have a recommendation.
Thank you, Jessica. Drew, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to add. I think Jess covered it quite well.
That was really excellent. All right, well, so shall we hear from our potential applicants? And if you could just state your name and for the record before you begin and come up here. Yeah.
I'm Brandon Kellogg. I'm the architect on the project.
Okay, Brandon.
Brandon.
Yes, let me know what you'd like to show, and you're welcome to be up at the podium. The mics will pick you up there.
Okay. Do you just have, yeah, here we go. Okay. Thanks for coming in tonight to listen to our presentation on this project at 57 Razor Drive. It's a project we've been kind of working on figuring out how to approach it over the last 6 months or so. And Been working with Jess a little bit and some other people to kind of help guide us as to what the best steps are for redeveloping this lot. The first thing that that kind of came to mind when we started working on it was the rules of the existing PUD. It's a pretty interesting description they have for the lot, limited to 6,000 square feet total built area, but with a height of 41 feet, which, you know, when I first read that, I was a little bit confused. I didn't know what they had planned for this, if it was going to be a gondola tower or a church, or I don't know. That height limitation was something that really caught my attention. Actually, Jess, you can go to the next slide. So just trying to orient ourselves in this, where this site is. And it's actually really close proximity to the Peru Express, to the base of Keystone. It's actually, seems like it's closer to walk to it than to drive to it. And it's sitting right in line. There's a pretty direct path right to get to the lift, as well as other trails on the south side of Highway 6. So just getting orientation, parking, you know, major landmarks, things like that in this map. If we go to the next one, start to look at density, you know, pretty clearly more dense developments on the south side of the highway, and then more single family on the north side. We got a few, you know, like the Three Peaks Lodge, and then some kind of multifamily developments, duplexes and triplexes and stuff. But then also some commercial spaces that are limited mostly to the, looks like the south side. So, you know, seeing potential to add to that, and potential to see if an increased density could benefit existing businesses as well as new businesses that would be housed in our proposed project. So yeah, 5-minute walk to the gondola, 10 minutes to A Basin from here, 11 minutes to Silverthorne, pretty centrally located within Keystone itself. So yeah, we can go to the next slide. All right, so for the existing PUD, I think it was originally written or agreed upon in 82, updated in the year 2000. Lots changed up here over those years. I think that, you know, there were some updates to what this tract is, but the way that we're viewing it is that it doesn't really reflect what is needed to develop a site like this, given current real estate market and demands for redevelopment. So the first item that we're looking at is the item A, the permitted use for tract A. Building G shall include restaurant and commercial uses, maximum square footage of 6,000 square feet. So we want to look at that one. That's basically the only thing that we're looking at changing. So we want to keep the height at 41 feet. We're not proposing to increase it or decrease it. And then also the use of the property is it's stated commercial use. And so we're trying to stay within those parameters with a couple different ideas on how to split that space up, which we'll go over in the following slides. Yeah, so what are we trying to do? So if we go to the next slide, where we started on this project is, you know, knowing that redeveloping or developing one of the last remaining undeveloped sites in Keystone has some pressure to it. You know, it's been vacant for a long time. It's kind of become people's passageway to get across the street. There's a neighborhood behind it that has never had anything there. And we're proposing a building that's going to sit there. So how can we do this in a way that is respectful to the community, maybe offers something to the existing community, and offers something to also the transient community that ebbs and flows throughout the year here. So, you know, people up for skiing. I think this is a Blues and Brews photo up here, the art festivals. You know, how can we participate in that kind of environment as well? So community is one of the kind of pillars of what we're trying to do with how we divide up the space and what kind of spaces that we're proposing. Climate is another one. So my company, Field Trip, has been building houses up here for the last 5 years with extremely aggressive performance goals. Right now, we're building our third net zero home in Breckenridge, and it's going to be finished in November. We're uncompromising on this part of our approach, and we think it's really important to demonstrate that that it can be done. It's no different for this project. So we have aggressive energy goals, and we are going to try to make it the best performing building that we possibly can. The last item, action. So that's, you know, why we're all up here. The outdoors, whether it's hiking, biking, playing hockey, snowboarding, whatever it is. It's why I come up to visit. I think it's why a lot of you people are up here, living up here. It's action right out your front door. So we want to accommodate that. Yes, we can go to the next slide. So what are we proposing? This is the building that we're proposing. This essentially maxes out the footprint that is allowed with the existing setbacks. We have a 20-foot setback to the rear between the existing shopping center and the new building. We're going to play around with that and see if there's any way that we can make that kind of a special place. Call it the alley. Right now I drew a food truck in there, so maybe we can have a taco truck in there, you know, during the day, and then it switches over at night, you know, to another business that is servicing the tap room, which is the other ground floor space that we're proposing. What it is, it's a 3-story mixed-use development. We've got solar panels on the roof. We've got 10 condo hotel units. We have an office space, like a co-working space, and an amenity space on the second floor to service the condo units. On the ground floor, we have parking in the rear. It'll be accessed off of Hanson Drive. And then, the tap room facing Highway 6 in the parking space. So one of the things too, when I was starting to look at the PUD is there's these 9 spaces that are just sitting, you know, in front of that lot. And, you know, when you start to think about how this development would come to fruition, it's sort of, I don't know if it was an oversight at the start or if it was planned for the future, never got put into words, but it seemed to me that those 9 spaces were maybe intended for that lot. Nonetheless, they're not. But we have been in talks with the owner next door about purchasing parking spaces from them to make up what we can't provide in the covered parking area. Okay, so we can move to the next page. So this is what we have, ground floor area. Parking, as I said, access from Hanson Drive. We've got 2 stairs, egress stairs servicing the upper floors. We have a trash and recycle and utility area on the corner. It'll be enclosed, bear-proof. 10 parking spaces. We have 10 units. We have 10 parking spaces. We understand we'll need another couple that we're going to make up with the purchase from the neighbor. The blue space is the tap room. The orange space is the hotel lobby, condo hotel lobby, elevator, and men's and women's restrooms. And those will be sized to service the tap room. To the, I guess it's to the east, you can see we're calling it the alley, but we have a loading space in there for any kind of deliveries that need to happen. But also, we see this as a place that we could, host a rail jam or an art show, or, have it just be kind of a flex outdoor space that could bring more activity to the area, more activity to the building, maybe give any kind of local businesses an opportunity to show off their food truck or business or coffee cart or whatever it may be. But one of the areas that we thought could be really accommodating to showcase some of these local businesses. Okay, so site statistics, excuse me. The 10,810 square foot lot. The proposed footprint is 6,094 square feet, which is a 56% lot coverage. Proposed use, mixed use. And then for all of our spaces, we have conditioned space totaling 13,835 square feet. And then unconditioned space of covered parking, trash and utilities, et cetera, of 3,720 for a total of 17,555 square feet of total constructed area. Our parking analysis. Parking is really where this project has to start. What good is a project if you can't park the cars that are needed? So this was the first exercise. How do I get as many cars in here as I possibly can, especially covered parking, which would be at a premium, especially for a condo hotel use. So we fit 10 spaces in, and that led us to propose 10 units above. We've spoken with the owner about buying spots from next door, done our calculations. We have 15 spaces needed for commercial, 12 for the condo hotel, 27 total. We're providing 10. We're going to buy 17. We've got 9 in front that he's already agreed to, and has agreed to sort of whatever we need at this point. I'm not sure if we have given him an exact number yet, but we're probably going to end up buying about 20 spaces from him, which will park the whole project and then some. All right, so we go to the next page. This is just more of the same, a more detailed breakdown of square footages for this floor. Basically the same as the previous page, but when we go to the second level plan, you can start to see how the rest of the building is going to be divided up. So this floor plate we've got 4 units here. We've got 3 1-bedrooms and a 2-bedroom on the back corner. 2 egress stairs, elevator access, mop closet, and then the space we're really excited about is the workspace. So the idea for this space is, who can it serve? I think the local community obviously can take advantage of this space. Rent a desk, rent a cubicle, whatever you need for doing business. The other aspect of this that I think is really neat is that we can cater to someone who is up for the day, up for the week, up for the weekend. You need to have a meeting, go and do your Zoom call, and then shuttle picks you up out front and drops you off at the mountain. So just trying to figure out different ways to allow people to enjoy the mountains without having to go on peak hours. I don't think anybody really likes driving up on the weekends. So trying to accommodate, different ways of getting up here. The next space, hot tubs, inflatable hot tubs. I think it could be, a bunch of different things. Maybe we have a sauna, cold plunge, locker room for getting ready for skiing, but just an amenity to the condo hotel units. All right, up onto the 3rd floor. We've got 6 units, 2 2-bedrooms, and 4 1-bedrooms. That unit on the bottom right is in progress. It's a unique shape, so I haven't gotten to designing that one yet. The idea with these spaces is that you are accommodating all different types of users in a way that you can have a couple come up, an individual, a family, and also accommodate all the gear that we're bringing up. So we had looked at putting lockers or like mini garages in the garage for your gear, for storage of bikes, snowboards, skis, etc. And it proved better to actually provide that kind of storage up in the units themselves. So each unit, when you walk in the door, you can kind of see a bike hanging there. We have this big kind of like in-unit garage where there'll be a floor drain. Your stuff can sit there, dry off, drain out, and it's right there, ready to go for the next day. So that's sort of the thought process with these units. And then again, trying to serve all different levels of visitor, from a 2-bedroom, this one on the bottom left corner. We'll be looking straight out at Keystone, the unit on the bottom right, straight out at Keystone, and up towards the fast. And then sort of the interior units, the 1-bedrooms are, they're for a couple or an individual to use. All right, and then the roof. Being on the north side of Highway 6, we have excellent solar exposure there. And we have a huge roof. So right now, we're showing a layout. This is almost a 2,000 square foot solar array. I can't vouch for how much that'll do, but I can say that our last 3 houses have all performed at net zero, and that's going to be the goal for this one as well. So solar is a part of that equation. The other part is the construction type and the equipment used for heating and cooling. All that stuff we will be looking into and tailoring to the overall performance of the building as we get further into design. So so just next page. Some looks at the building. So this is what it would appear like from Razor Drive. Working hard to stay under that 41-foot max height. but also not just do a box. So what we have is, you know, a really, really gentle sloping roof that sort of leads your eye over to the mountain. And then some really clean and modern lines with the windows. The kind of wooden looking screen that you see is, that's the parking garage. We're kind of going back and forth between if it's like a partially open, partially enclosed, or if we're going to fully enclose it and try to capture the heat from vehicles to kind of help with the overall performance of the building. The doorway you see here would be the doorway into the lobby for the hotel. And then you can get to the tap room from there as well. All right, so what do the units look like? So this is a 2-bedroom unit, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We have a primary bedroom with a walk-in closet, walk-in bathroom, kitchen, dining room, living room, sort of all the basic amenities that you would find with any 2-bedroom unit here in Keystone. The difference is we have this gear storage and mudroom area. So we're really seeing that as such a, and in our houses that we've designed as well, it's such a key area in the house that we want it to be someplace where you can put your bike up and hang it there and have it be like when you have someone come over, be like, I love your bike. That's an awesome bike. Or your skis, you know, seeing the gear as sort of like almost like an artwork or a fixture in the unit. In unit laundry, yeah, pretty functional unit in a small footprint. These 1-bedrooms, I'm a big fan of. 1-bedroom, 1-bath, with a kitchenette. We're not proposing a full kitchen here, but a sink, dishwasher, and like a hot plate. But again, you know, designed for someone who's up for the day, up for a few days, long weekend, but has all the things that you need kind of within the unit to get by. In-unit washer, dryer, shower, bathroom, bedroom, and then of course views out to the mountains. Yeah. Okay. So the final page, just a detailed breakdown of occupancy, building area, each unit you have in here, square footages, everything totaling up to the 17,555 square feet. Occupancy analysis, we've kind of taken a stab at what a tap room might look like. Until that space gets divided up, we don't know what the total occupancy is going to be, but we can estimate based on what the area of the space is, and you know what allocations of space we would give to each kind of use within the space. So we've got well, total occupancy is 122. We got 20 occupants for the office space, 40 in the condo hotel. So let's see. Oh, 122 for the tap room, excuse me. And then 182 total occupants on the space. So from there, we can move forward with a lot of the materials that are needed for the class 5. We have a civil engineer that's ready to go once we tell him what kind of building that we're looking at designing. But we've been also trying to get on the schedule for a meeting like this for a while now to understand the temperature in this room, what the feeling is about something like this, and if there is anything that we should be considering that we're not. So with that, I think I can turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Brant. I'm thinking we do the same thing that we did last time, and we all can, because it's now time for us to ask questions. We'll do 2 questions each, go around and then go around again, et cetera, just like we have like a little system now. I'll start with you, David, because I think last time I started, and I won't forget you, Steve, at the end of our, and I'll go last.
Go hard, so each time reverse it, so.
Oh, okay, we can reverse, yeah, okay.
It's kind of,
Okay, we'll get fancy and reverse it. All right, the second time around. All right, okay. I like it, yeah. Okay, so David, we'll start with you.
You addressed this, parking is going to be a big thing coming back. I can't really say too much one way or the other about the parking. Just out of curiosity, an occupancy of tap room 122 being triple the condo hotel part, you expect that obviously to be time related.
Yeah.
I would appreciate when you come back, knowing how that fits with the use otherwise of the building and how that's going to constrain the parking that's available.
Right.
You're coming back at peak time or not with the rest of the parking. And a little one, when I looked at Unit A, 2-bedroom, and it's labeled kitchen versus kitchenette in the 1-bedroom, are you planning? I mean, how do you define difference between kitchen and kitchenette?
So the kitchen would have like a range and oven, as well as like a refrigerator, like a full size refrigerator, a bigger sink, dishwasher. The kitchenette is kind of like an under cabinet refrigerator, sink, and then like just a little 2-burner hot plate kind of thing.
And obviously a microwave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Diane?
so, you just said you understand the parking, but I don't.
No, I don't really understand. I'd say that was going to be something that they're going to really have to explain.
I would like you to repeat what you said though, because I couldn't follow all of it and I'd like to make
Oh,
notes.
sure. Yeah, we want to go back to. So these numbers too were pulled from the development.
Like, for example, when you said you were talking to someone about purchasing parking spaces,
Oh, right.
is that Mountain Plaza?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and so the owner of the Mountain Plaza building might sell you those 9 spaces.
They have more than 9.
They might sell you
Yeah.
more than that.
So we need about 20 spaces, and we've talked with him about that. And he is open to selling that many spaces. So anything that any shortage that we have in parking, we feel like we can address with a deal with that owner.
The parking lot's full now. So for him to sell it will be interesting
He's told us he has extra spaces
in
and
the back.
yeah,
Maybe.
so yeah, that's.
But I still want to write down what your plan is here.
Plan is in
With
terms
the
of,
parking. You've got 10 under the building,
we've got 10 under the building, we have
9 in front. Okay,
we need 17. So there's 8 more spaces we need to buy from him. In addition to those 9 in front of the building.
you said something about 27. See, I just don't have the numbers. I have to ask you to repeat, sorry.
So we have 10 spaces in the building.
Right,
There's 9 in front of the building,
right. So now you're up to 19.
8 to get to 27.
It's by 8 more,
Add 8 more?
Plus 8 more.
plus more.
Okay. When I did my calculation, I calculated you needed 29, but gotcha.
I think we'll overbuy too when we get to that point. So
And then the other question I had is tap room. The concept, why did the owner head in that direction? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. I mean, didn't you say, Bernie?
I like it.
Yeah. I think it kind of, for me, I spend a lot of time over in Frisco, and we host a pond hockey tournament every year over in Frisco with Outer Range, and seeing how they've grown over the years has been really cool to see. I think there's a lot of businesses like that really are outstanding in what they produce. So this was the idea of how could we highlight that? I think one of the ideas we talked about was like the tap room's called Summit Tap, and it's like a rotating tap of all the local breweries up here. It's an idea that, as we've talked to people up here about what we're trying to do, you mentioned tap room, and that just everybody gets a smile on their face, and, they think it's a great idea. So I think we kind of took that and ran with it. The space itself, we don't have a tenant yet. It's going to be delivered as a core and shell. So we don't know what it'll end up being, which is why it is also kind of hard to give you occupancy numbers at this point. Tap room being an assembly use is one of the more higher demand uses. So if we start there and it ends up being, like a library or something, we're going to have extra spaces, but at least we planned ahead and got those bases covered. So does that answer your question with that?
Yeah, it's not definite yet. I didn't know, possibly the developer already does tap rooms somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Not the case at all.
Yeah.
So we're just, we're trying to propose an idea here that, if I propose that space as core and shell, it's not as exciting as I say it's going to be.
Okay, thank you.
I thought she had two questions.
Two.
I
You got
did
two? All right.
parking and.
Parking and tap room.
Got two general topics and one question each. One is in the project narrative on page 8. To quote, the current PUD parameters include a buildable area limit of approximately 6,000 square feet. Quote, no longer reflect the community's ambitions or the economic realities of resort development at this scale. Could you help me understand two of the words in there? One is the community's ambitions, and what do you mean by scale also? So if you could elaborate on that, I appreciate it.
Okay, so I'll talk about scale first. It's expensive to build up here. It's expensive to build the way that we've been building, which is net zero high performance. Part of that equation for us is that if you add density, you have an easier path to get to those higher performance buildings. So that's one way that we're looking at it. I think the other way of looking at it is that in its current use, 6,000 square feet, the lot is vacant still, and it has been for 40 plus years. So could that be because of the density? I don't know. I can't speak to that. As far as the community's ambition, I guess what I'm referring to there are conversations that I've had with people in the community about, what they would like to see here. I think that there's a general level of excitement when I talk to anybody about this project. We talked to the neighbor next door about this project, and he is thrilled to have something going in here, something that can bring more people to his business too.
Okay, the business to the east.
To the east, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm referring to. I mean, you being the community at large, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. But you know, that language is coming from conversations that I've personally had with people around them.
Thanks. The second area is the general question about density. On the PDF, page 11, you talk about, quote, the modern costs of infrastructure and change in development parameters. I think you covered the modern cost of infrastructure half of that question just now, but I don't think I understand your justification for the proposal about the change in development parameters. Help me understand that part of that note on page 11.
You know, I think what I was speaking to before is the same. Is, you know, it is expensive to build up here, and to pencil a deal, there's an input and output, and with costs going up, it just, you get squeezed more and more with what you're building. So,
is it accurate to kind of rephrase what you just said to say that increase in scale of the number of units and higher density allows the cost parameters really to be viable?
yeah.
Is that effectively what you meant by development parameters, i.e. cost?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Tim?
I just want to make sure I understand when you say condo hotel, exactly what you mean by that. And is that strictly commercial? Because you said you're not changing the permitted use to include residential. So I just want to make sure I understand what you mean by condo hotel.
Yeah, so condo hotel is, it's a block of units that are owned by individuals, but managed by a hoteling service. So owners of those units have access to the rental, the booking fees. They also have access to use the unit as they need.
Could they buy it as a condo and use it full time? And is it not then residential?
Condo hotel is listed in the commercial section of the development code. So that's where I pulled that use from, is condo hotel. And it's listed under commercial.
You want to repeat the last part of your question?
If somebody bought one and bought it as a condo strictly for his personal use without renting it, is that not residential?
I mean, they'll be paying to be in the rental block. I think that's probably part of the rules with being an owner in the building. But
so I don't, is condo hotel a classification that's different than condo?
It's in the development code, and typically what happens is, to his point, is that the hotel operator requires a certain number of days of availability in order for them to operate the entirety of the condo hotel. It's very similar to the Kindred and other places that we have.
But that's slightly different than what I just heard. If I did,
I know. I mean, again, it's kind of the operational part of it. And again, we'd also be addressing this definition during the part of the PUD amendment. Since we don't have that piece, it's hard for us to evaluate.
okay. So that's
Because
needed.
when I read it originally, I thought you were going to change it to include residential, because I thought condo, because if it's a condo, that's residential, right? I mean, strictly a condo.
We can work through the definition of that at some point in the future.
Okay.
You have a second question?
Well, I was just kind of curious because, in looking at what the needs of the community are. The needs of the community are as affordable housing, as we keep saying over and over and over again. And and this may be related to your second question, was there any thought to do affordable housing as opposed to a condo hotel? Because I mean, that's what the real need of the community is.
Right. We've kicked those ideas around a lot. And we've talked at length about it. And I think part of our reason for coming here is understanding, how you would see that that need being applied to this development in particular. So, condo hotel is a commercial use. Condo is residential. And so if we're doing workforce housing, that kicks it into residential. And so we were trying to, stick to the original PUD description there.
I just heard that correctly. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Your definition does not include any employee housing and or designations thereof.
It is undefined currently.
Since it's not defined, we don't have a definition for a requirement for employee housing, which is in the code for residential development, but not for this in between.
It would be negotiated as part of PUD amendment. In terms of the requirement. For what they
Undefined at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
That's right.
I guess I would like to understand a little bit more about, you said that there's the place on the side of the building that you would use for different reasons. One of the things I think I heard you said was delivery. Is that true? Does that mean that you would somehow have like a semi back up into that space?
Yeah.
Has there been any math done on if that's physically possible for a semi to back up into that space?
That would be part of the civil scope when we get there.
Okay. Is it drive-throughable? Like you can drive from the back to the front or no?
Currently, no. There's a curb there. So we've looked at that, but it would also eliminate 3 parking spaces. So,
Okay.
Yeah, it has yet to be, we haven't done a turning radius study for that one.
Okay. I think that would be interesting to understand, because if not, would the semis essentially park on the road in front of the hotel? Or my other thought too is if you have hotel guests and the entrance is right there on the side of Razor Drive, most hotels have an entrance where you can go and come up and park and have someone hop out and check in. Does that mean people would be then parking on that road in sort of a waiting?
Not necessarily. So, with these condo hotels, and I know everybody's probably stayed at an Airbnb, but the check-in process for that is pretty, you do it mostly on your phone. So we're actually working with a developer as a consultant who has a condo hotel down in Denver that they have no lobby. All of the check-in, all the booking is done online. People come, they check in with their phone. The locks are phone activated, and that's the extent of what they need for that type of business. So in terms of, volume of people that would be, waiting for someone to come park their car for them, I don't think that we're kind of in that category. It's a 10-unit kind of boutique ish hotel. So we're trying to look at it through that lens where, the traditional lobby setup that you would, see at any larger hotel, we don't think we need that. We'd rather give that space to a tap room or, to a service area or to a unit or, some space within the building.
My other question is just traffic. I think one of the biggest things that we brought up over and over again is that the traffic and the flow of traffic at Razor Drive is one of the most concerning intersections in all of Keystone. And we've talked about that, and it still has not been addressed, and because it's a big deal. So I think trying to figure that out while understanding how much this is going to increase the traffic into this space, while also having limited parking and potentially taking parking from the already overflowed lot in this area. Because at that point, I've seen a lot of cars just begin to park on the sides of the street in that area already with the commercial spaces that are there right now. So the traffic is something, I don't know if you've done any research into the traffic, or I had more traffic studies. I think the traffic study that we did was off season. I think that it plays a lot into it, is festival days versus Christmas versus the middle of summer when no one is here versus, in the winter when people are backed up all the way to the lake because no one can get in and out of anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So the traffic is, we've heard all about the light. We've heard about the meetings with CDOT. We're actually hoping to get that traffic study from you to help us with our traffic study. We're required to do a traffic study for the class 5. So a lot of these more, technical things are on our radar for the class 5, but the inputs for those studies are dependent on what kind of building that we're going to do. So occupancy plays a huge role in traffic. It plays a huge role in the water usage, the waste usage, all these things. We're proposing this building, and if we move forward with this building, we will provide all the data for that that will be reviewed in that class 5 for the PUD adjustment. So it is absolutely on our radar. We are thinking about that.
I'm wondering if you're planning. You're just planning to build on track, I guess the PUD amendment. Was it going to be of the whole PUD, or you just want?
We're just proposing for our track.
Just on track day?
Yeah, just track day.
And yeah, so if the other part of the tract has, are you robbing Peter to pay Paul on parking? I mean, if it's all, it's part of the plaza right now.
I would hope we're not robbing anybody. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I think that the conversation around parking, really the way that we are thinking about it and the way that the conversations with that owner over there have gone is that he has X, Y, and Z uses that require X, Y, and Z number of spaces. So if it's overparked because people are parking there because they're walking somewhere else, I don't know if that's the case either, but the math for how many spaces he has available to sell are based on the same calculations that we're doing here, based on the use of our proposed uses of our spaces. And so according to his math, he has extra spaces. And with that said, that is where it's coming from. It's not the lot's full today, so how can you buy spaces from him? Because he has an allocated number of spaces by use, and that's where we saw an opportunity to make use of his unallocated spaces.
And then my other question is that your footprint, the regulations provide for a 25% snow area, or 25% of the structure there has to be an equal amount of 25% of the whole structure
Right.
for snow removal. And how is that going to be addressed?
Yeah, so this, honestly, so this is sort of the idea of the flex nature of that alleyway to the north, is that could also function as snow storage over there for us. So that was our thought process there with that.
So is that 25% of the structure
We can get 25%.
is in there?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. Yeah. Steve.
Thank you. My two main questions, obviously people have already touched on this, but I need a lot more science to understand your parking analysis. I just start looking at things of employee parking, visitor parking. I don't see any ADA parking under the building. You're probably going to lose at least a stall there. Probably need 2 ADA out in front. So I think what we're asking is to get, the traffic consultant, which should be also your parking consultant, really show the science behind this. Because I come from the hospitality side, so when I start thinking turns required to be profitable and the amount of people funneling through, I'm just, with the information I have today, I don't understand how the parking works. So I think you're going to have to come back to us and show that. And then to the rest of my fellow commissioners, I think it'd be prudent, and I can't remember off the top of my head, of what the ratios we agreed to for the multifamily on Montezuma. So whether we're calling this commercial condo hotel, they're looking to do similar ratios. I just want to be careful that we aren't, that there needs to be some consistency when we look at these things, and we can choose to not do it. But I think it'd be prudent to look at those, because I think the challenge that we all have is there's so many PUDs here. There's got to be some kind of filter layered over when we look at all of this stuff. So we can, we're not going to get to consistency because there's so many different ones, but I think we should at least have one eye on previously approved and just make sure that we don't open up Pandora's box one way or the other. So that's more just from our perspective. But I think from the parking, I just need to really understand the math, because I know how these businesses work, and I'm just having a hard time getting to the parking that you say will work. The other issue has to do with the adjacent parcel. I think what we're going to need to see is, first of all, are there cross access easements in place today? If not, you're going to need some kind of legal document so that people can cross over different parcels, as well as parking. And I think what we need to see, and I know a bunch of my other colleagues here brought this up, I think I'd like to see the existing project to date, the shopping center, what the uses are, what was approved, have a chart that says, here's what there's umpteen square foot of restaurant, here's what they were approved, here's the number, here's how many spaces. Show us that there is a surplus. I don't know how you get to that math. It may be perfectly fine. I just think for us to be able to say, oh, you're going to borrow 17 spaces or buy, we need to know that we're not creating a situation in another parcel where now they're short, even though they're not fully leased. So we're going to need that information in order to properly, opine on your request when you come back. So those are my two big questions.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, you can see parking, every aspect of parking is big.
Just quickly, the 2 spaces that you see there on sort of the south side of plan, those were planned for ADA. That 5-foot margin there was planned for the ADA access. So we are thinking about that, but yeah, noted that a better analysis needs to be done.
It's I'm on the last one on this first round. Obviously, you see parking and you see the concern. I had the same issue about workforce. a deed restricted unit or something in this project that would speak to workers here in the community, I think would be a helpful thing to hear about.
Yeah.
And then my actual question is, how are you envisioning this project being connected to the rest of Keystone?
Sure.
Sort of set back, and you talked about how it's so nice and easy to walk to Peru Express, but you haven't really said anything about how do you see this being integrated within?
Sure. Well, I mean, a lot of this, you know, to have a dialogue here is, you know, basically what we've been trying to get for a while, just to, you know, understand what those parameters are, understand what the concerns are. With the access to Keystone itself, we know that there's been efforts and maybe even successful effort of getting a traffic light at that intersection. I don't know if that's top secret or if but I haven't been able to find anything outside of what I've heard in conversations. So that aspect of what Keystone has already done is just really exciting for us to be at this location. So the pedestrian traffic by foot with a traffic light there would be, you know, it would be a game changer for this property. And I also think that there's like a lot of potential on that walk to, you know, there's the businesses that you pass by on the way there. There's the bridges that go over the creek. And, you know, there's just a lot of opportunity there to, you know, have that be kind of a special thoroughfare for people to, so, you know, that's outside of this project, but it was just something that, you know, when I started getting the gears turning on that and seeing actually how close it was, like, wow, this actually, I could see myself walking to the lift from here. And so, yeah, I think with the workforce housing stuff too, I think, you know, understanding what those parameters are is helpful for us on the development end too, because it affects the numbers that, you know, make the project work too, and how we look at, you know, what those spaces, how big they are, what the financials of it are. So, so yeah, I think we are open to that discussion, and
Yeah, it's definitely something that would be we would be very interested to sort of have that be a piece of this discussion.
okay. Yeah, I mean, is there quantities or is there, you know, how would you?
At this point, I'll just throw it out as the concept, I think.
Okay.
As Stephen mentioned, there were requirements on other filings, requests, et cetera, that were used somewhat as maybe a first step, or I wouldn't call it a template because we haven't decided what form that should come in, but there are a lot of other rules within the code that specifically state for residential developments ratios. So that you at least give you a hint of what some things are today.
Okay.
And now I'll take Kathy's suggestion and go around the room the opposite direction. And just in case there's additional, if you can bear with us now, and we'll go around again. And Steve, so I'll start with you this time, if you have any more questions.
Yeah, real quick. So back to the just the parking and the effect it would have on the adjacent residential area. One thing I would like, if you could look at an alternative that would show an entrance off of Razor versus the residential area. Again, trying to keep that commercial traffic off that back area. May not be possible, but I would appreciate maybe looking at that. And then the other one deals with the architectural design. In the comprehensive plan, and I'm probably going to jumble up the words here, but there was comments there about how the architecture needs to embrace the outdoors, the nature, the mountains. And so I think what we'd like to see when you come back. And I know the design is, you're not there yet with everything. But I think the next one, we're going to want, see materials, massing and shapes, and explain to us how that exterior design of the building, and I know the front part's commercial, but there's a lot of commercial buildings that do embrace that concept. So I think we're going to want to understand how you think your new building embraces that that look and feel that's in the comprehensive plan. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Kathy?
Oh, most of my
Yeah.
other questions are about parking
Yeah.
and traffic. And again, there's the adjacent, your neighbor, I guess, is Mountain View Plaza, has about 144 parking spots. And that's for 21,000 square feet. And how part of it's office space, part of it's retail, and well, right now it's mostly empty. And again, what we're doing is where, or if you're just taking parking from that spot, that area, that's just gonna affect the retail, the businesses there. Actually, the whole mountain, the plaza is for sale now. I mean, it has been for a while. And that's part of why I'm concerned about what is happening in the PUD itself. What we're doing is maybe is part of, we will be maybe precedential, and we need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway. And also the traffic light thing, I think is not, I don't think we're gonna ever have they're doing something right now.
It's not planned to have a full.
It's not a real stoplight.
There may be an
blinking.
improvement to the existing pedestrian crossing, but there's not going to be a full four-way stoplight currently.
So it's going to be a blinking light that someone, well, that's,
Yes.
okay. That's happened in the past, and we've had death,
Yeah.
and injuries at that intersection. And also the people that live in the residential, that's a lot of single family residential up Razor Drive, and the whole ski area. And when it in the winter, it's very different. What's happening than from the summer. So,
Okay. Kelly?
thank you.
I think someone may have already touched on this, but the parking for employees has that been considered, of how many parking spaces you would need to fully operate all of these spaces and where they would park?
I think we're including that in the overall calculation. We were going to buy a few extra spaces anyway. So, for us to fully understand what that number is, we don't want to, it is not our goal to not sufficiently address parking. So we are, that's been our top goal since we started this project, is how can we park this thing?
My other question was kind of based off what Steve said. You did bring up the outer range as something that you sort of, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, like drew inspiration from, and that area is all commercial and does not have any residential areas around it. And it is very modern because it's all commercial. I would be interested to see how to adapt this in a little bit more of a way, considering that it is directly 50 feet away from a neighborhood, but also in terms of like the modernity of it. Like personally, I love modern buildings, but it seems like Keystone itself has really built itself based off of that like Alpine Lodge feel. So I was wondering why you chose to go so modern, and if there was consideration about the other buildings, the way that Keystone is currently built.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few reasons that feed into that. So one, there are the parameters of the site, the building envelope. We have the maximum height. Having a peaked roof off of that, we're going to exceed the maximum height if we're trying to do this specific use. In terms of the style itself, you know, it's something that with each and every project that we do, trying to find something that expresses what the building is about in a way that, yeah, it is going to stand out. And honestly, we want it to stand out. We're going to be really proud of this building, especially if it performs in the way that we intend it to. If it is a place where local businesses can like show off their product, if it's a place where people come to work and then can go out and enjoy the outdoors, we want it to be something that stands out. And you know, doing that in a way that isn't necessarily, you know, turning a blind eye to the existing vernacular, but, you know, through materiality, very like different massing shapes, things like that, that we can reference sort of ideas from the traditional vernacular here in kind of a new way. Yeah, that's the idea with it. And, you know, I definitely, as an architect, want to be able to make a building that's expressive, but also functional. The solar considerations for the roof are also something that sort of feed into what the shape of the building is. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yes, I just wanted to make sure you were, taking into consideration that this is drastically different from the space and the land that Outer Range is on versus being directly within a neighborhood, and making sure we're being very respectful and aware in making a building that fits in there. And while I understand having it stand out, and I completely respect and understand that, fitting in a way that's complementary. That's all.
sure. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Tim, any more?
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
It's going to be a parking question.
But I'll keep it short. But I just want to reinforce what Steve said, that it's not going to be enough to come in and say, we have these 10 inside and we bought 20 more, so we're okay. We're going to really have to see the whole parking map for track A and track B. Where are those 20 spaces? Because I know track B has parking spaces, but they're behind the building, which are not ideal, which currently he's leasing. But and then are they dedicated spaces? And if they're not dedicated spaces, what are you going to do for parking enforcement? Because if that's all commercial, people park where they can find a space. If I'm going to the bar or the restaurant, and if I'm a resident who supposedly is going to park in one of those outside spaces, and I come home and I don't have any place to park, I'm not going to be happy. So if it's dedicated space, if the 20 are dedicated to this purpose, what kind of parking enforcement is there going to be? Because that could be a real challenge.
Do you have another one?
No.
Peter?
Always. On page 12, you mentioned specifically net zero and airtight building envelope. I went wahoo, I'm an engineer, love that. But that's very ambiguous terminology, because the definition of net zero and airtight is quite variable. And I was wondering, do you have a certification that you're proposing? I'm familiar with Passive House and a bunch of others. I just wondered if you've defined which ones you're planning on testing against, as opposed to just checking the box saying, hey, verily, I did a design review of it, or other mechanisms for certification.
Yeah, so I mean, as I said, our previous houses are all registered with the Department of Energy as zero energy ready homes. That is the standard that we have for everything that we've done so far, and would be the same goal for this, if not better. A lot of that, it is cost dependent. How much does it cost to build a building? And this is a big building, so the cost parameters are way different than building, a mountain home in Breckenridge.
Very familiar.
So we are working our way through that, and the language, yes, is ambiguous, but I think
you just helped narrow it down when you said specifically zero energy ready per DOE.
Sure.
Thank you. Second question is tying to our new comprehensive plan for the town of Keystone. I thought I read in there, and tell me if I'm wrong, which sections and paragraphs of the new comprehensive plan are you referencing with regards to your general categories of approaches and goals, et cetera? Do you have a specific set, or I would like to see a specific list of which ones you're saying, yeah, that one, this one out of the comprehensive plan?
Can I get back to you on that one?
Yeah, if you haven't, that's a future, understand.
Yeah.
But I would prefer to see something like that, because incrementally, that's what over a year's effort for this group, as well as the consultants, as well as the rest of the town. It's a key piece.
Thank you, Pete. Jessica, could you go to the second slide? Go down, down, down. Okay, stop there. So on that slide, we can see tract A, tract B, and tract C. And in the PUD, it says tract B is retail and office, which we know it is. And tract C says 10 single family, 1 duplex, and 1 triplex. Do you know if it's built out? Or
I have that information, but not readily available. I do have that information.
See where up above Mountain Plaza, you can see those 4 dots. See, it says Mountain Plaza and then the road, and then up above there's 4 dots.
Below the words tract C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 4 condos there now. And then on this side of the condos, there's a whole row of parking that the Hilton leases.
From Mountain View.
Hmm?
From Mountain View.
So does anyone know how long they have rights to that?
But that parking is part of tract B that's owned by Mountain View Plaza.
Oh, okay. Even though the line doesn't look like it
Well,
here. Yeah.
I'm not 100%.
It's more just me trying to understand, because when I looked at it, there's a lot of space. It's like a really wide road, and they've got parking on both sides, but in a way there's room for more stuff. So I was trying to figure out, did they just make that area really wide for some reason, or is there still more that's going to get put into tract C that I don't know about?
So it sounds like that's all. We've talked a little bit about wanting to have this, a bigger picture of this,
Right.
as part of further
So
discussion.
when you include the information about the parking, we kind of want to know about tract C too,
Yeah.
to understand the whole PUD. Right. So I don't think I have a specific question. I just want to understand.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah, you said, you meant Hilton, or Hyatt, not Hilton, right?
I was gonna, the Hyatt, one more comment though.
Okay.
Kindred has hotel too.
Right.
Part of what they're doing is that.
Yeah.
The middle tower.
Okay.
Is that kind?
Yeah. David?
Kudos for the Zur-H kind of approach to doing things. Got a little experience with that. I don't see a dedicated mechanical space in your drawings. Trash and utilities is the closest I can come up with it. And in terms of your vision and the exterior elevation as a condo hotel, and my thoughts is individual control of units. Are you thinking that you're going to have some centralized mechanical plant with individual controls, or you're going to be like a hotel and have the window box kind of things for the controls for the individual units? Kind of affects the design aesthetics, and how are you cramming your things into this space?
Yeah, so the way that we've done it in the past is with like a ceiling mounted fan coil unit. And you do that over like the bathroom space or something. So there's a mechanical unit that processes all the heating and cooling loads, distributes it throughout the unit. With that, there's a condensing unit that would either be up on the roof or somewhere else on the building that would, handle that side of things. So that is as far as we've gotten on that. I've left space in closets for the unit plans for water heaters, things like that. So I have some oversized closets and stuff I was planning for mechanical equipment. But as far as the, actual selection of equipment, what everything is,
So a distributed approach to the mechanical systems, like each unit might have its own hot water heater, its own air conditioning, heating kind of unit with a condensing coil. Is that included in the 41 feet of height? Is there room, if the roof is at 41 feet, to put a condensing coil system?
We'll have to look at that. And again, I don't have the specs. If we do a PTAC unit in the window, then we don't need that either. So there's, a few different ways that we can get there. And so, yeah.
If it had to be on the ground, do you have a top of head thought where on the ground?
Well, I would have to come out of the building footprint somewhere.
Or maybe the loading zone space?
It could go there. We're right on the setback there though, so.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. I think I'm wondering now if at this point, since we've gone through so many rounds, should we address if there's anybody that wants to make a public comment? We don't have, it's not a public hearing, as you guys know, but we could decide amongst ourselves that yes, we want to hear public comment, or we don't need to at this point.
Do you need to vote on it, or?
Is that something we vote on?
Can I
No, I think just
suggest I do have a few more of my own. I'd like to get through those before we get into a public comment.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Is that all right?
Yes, that's right.
But first,
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
we talked about parking. I'll jump through. I reiterate the concern that we've already heard. The building height, I noticed one of the diagrams sort of shows 41 foot on the southwest corner, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm concerned that you're putting solar panels up on top of that in addition to it. Does that mean you're going to go above the 41 foot limit if that's the building corner and you've got solar panels that add 3 to 5 foot if, depending on the type?
That was kind of the idea with it sloping back, is that we could get under that height limit after that.
So the slope's sufficient to cover the 41 foot, okay?
I will look at it when we get there.
I understand it's a bit of a detail, but one of the aesthetic characteristics that everybody has been alluding to is, how tall is it? How imposing and or blending is it? Is one of the considerations. And height obviously is one of the key limitations and or considerations.
Mm-hmm.
you describe in the packet, there's no change to setbacks. And this is kind of to the staff a little bit is, do required setbacks include the half wall and outdoor permanent stone / concrete patio that I see designed on this? In other words, do you have to have a setback before you get to the patio, or can the patio be part of that setback?
To be determined as part of the PUD.
Okay, don't know yet. All right.
Usually the patio can go to the over the sink.
No, yes.
I'll always have more. We already covered the snow storage question. And we've alluded to effects on the neighbors and parking associated with it. So I don't need to cover that. There was one interesting characteristic, though, was I thought I read in the PUD that the existing road is actually the loop around that whole A and B track. And there was some question about road ownership and road maintenance are not necessarily one and the same. And since we're talking about parking, it would be really important to understand what is, as you expand on the parking details, please include description of the ownership of the parking versus the required maintenance of it. Because I know across the entire town of Keystone, we've had quite a few conversations, literally in the last 2 years, probably 50 conversations about, ownership versus maintenance. So I'd like to understand that same consideration here, especially in the light of the snow considerations. What do you do with it? And the last general one is on aesthetics, and we've covered some of the aesthetic characteristics, but the town of Keystone's comprehensive plan and the reference in the PUD section C5, it requires landscaping plans, and they didn't see anything here. So one of the characteristics of aesthetics is a key to Keystone in my mind is the fact that our setbacks and others have significant amount of foliage / trees, et cetera, which are radically different compared to some of the other towns who have very short setbacks and sometimes no landscaping whatsoever. And the fact that you're getting pretty close on square footage and setbacks makes me wonder about landscaping. It gets a bit interesting. So one of the considerations overall with regards to its aesthetics and associated requirements from the town of Keystone's comprehensive plan, preserving its character, I would like to see a little more detail, of course, on that as time goes on.
And then on this site, because there's not a lot of room and we're trying to do wildfire mitigation.
Yeah, good point.
There's not, I don't know where you're going to put the landscaping.
Yeah. So it's a yin and a yang. Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. Did you have another question, Diana?
No.
Does anyone have, do you have a sort of, Steve, or any other questions from you? Okay. And then do we want to just hear if anybody in the public?
I think so.
Seems like we're in here.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm getting a good sense of it. Okay, do we have somebody that wants to make a public comment?
I'll ask that if someone's online, they would raise their hands or line up at the podium. Brandon, if you want to take a seat, but I also recommend that you implement a time limit.
Yeah, let's do the 2 minute.
2 minutes, okay.
Can you do the timekeeping for me? Or?
I've got it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Brandon, very much. I know that's a lot of time answering questions. We appreciate it.
Could you introduce your immediate
Your,
guest / partner?
right.
So
This is Brittany Weber. Hi, I'm Brittany Weber.
I'm the owner.
okay, thank
All
you.
right. Nice to see you here too. Do we have somebody here in the room to make a comment?
Introduce myself. I'm
Yeah,
Andy
sure.
Turton. I may be more interested than most of my neighbors. I'm 19 East Anson Road. I bought it from Kelly in December. We knew something was going to go in there. I'm also an engineer and a developer, so it's very interesting. The parking has been an issue when Bill Focus was there. Joe had his own parking on your lot. You probably know that. But,
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about 41 feet. I do understand the code. I do realize the lot slopes about 6 feet, so hopefully it's 35 in the back. I don't know how you're having an alley there because there's a triple transformer bank, but you guys could work that into your mechanical plan. It's just very interesting. We knew something was going to go in. We knew the 6,000 square foot requirement. We know there were previous plans there that never materialized. We also realized that Mountain View Plaza, I don't know if Mr. Fuller's on the phone, but we realize it's going through quite a few changes, and that's a wild card in this whole thing. So
Right.
We love the new place at Keystone. We've been at Liftside since 2012. We've had a place at the Pines too. So I'm trying to get my wife to retire. That's why we now have a house.
Is it appropriate to ask him one question about your comment of Joe had parking there? Help me
Joe
understand.
Dose, I think, used. Again, I'm just saying it.
Mexican.
Don't believe me, there's 18 wheelers that go on here. Everybody,
Sorry, what is-
everybody in the neighborhood knows the traffic on that. So again, I don't have all the data that you have on how busy Mountain View Plaza is. But, you know, we get the deliveries for the liquor store and the grocery store, and Paul's great. And, you know, my dog gets to talk to delivery people and stuff like that. But
Thank you.
no, very interested. At 30 or 17,000 square feet sounds like you're maximizing. But it's, yeah, I would be interested in actually leasing your commercial space if it's the right building.
You guys maybe need to talk to him. Thank you. Do we have anybody
There's
online?
no one online with their hand raised.
Okay. Okay, so I think hopefully this was a helpful discussion for you all. I guess at this point, I would just see, is there any other business for the planning commission? If not, I think we're ready to adjourn. And I'll just need a
I
motion.
move to adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sometimes I forget. Aye. And then, okay, this officially concludes our meeting at 7:02 p.m. Thanks, everybody. And thank you all again.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Pretty much. I was tracking that a lot for a while.